Narcissists all follow the same dang playbook. It starts by the love bombing. They make you feel like you're special. And then slowly the gaslighting starts, the manipulation. And before you know it, you're trapped in a relationship where nothing you ever do is good enough. I know this firsthand because I lived it. And when there's kids involved, it's a whole different level of hell. Today, I'm going to share my story, what I ignored, what I learned, and how you can protect yourself when you're dealing with a narcissist. Welcome to Random Candace Thoughts, where I share my unfiltered take on life, business, and all of the random things that pop into my head. I'm your host, Candace, a Florida mom, content creator, and professional overthinker. So let's get into it. Just so you know you're not imagining things, let's talk about what narcissistic abuse actually looks like or what it looked like for me in my life at the time. Let me take you back just really quick to 2001. When I met my first husband, we were both airmen. We lived in the dorms, and our first date together, in order for me to leave his room, he decided to throw water on me. That was his way to get me to go. That was our first date. Fast forward 16 years and 4 kids later, the last straw was when he said he had intentionally been trying to sabotage my career or me with the kids. And that was the last straw for me. He used everything over those 16 years, from gaslighting to financial control, isolation. I couldn't have any friends that he didn't like. I couldn't hang out with anybody that he hadn't met. And I had no life. It was me and my kids, and that was it. The emotional and mental abuse was probably the worst because I thought I was wrong. Most of the time, he was able to control the conversation or the outcome so well and manipulate it in such a way that I thought it was my fault. Yes, we have 4 kids together. Why did I keep having kids? I don't know. I'm glad I did. My kids saved me, protected me from making further bad choices. I kept having kids with him because they were the only thing that made me happy when I was with him. There's no better explanation, honestly. And that's challenging because a narcissist will use the kids against you. They'll use them as a pawn to manipulate situations and emotions. And it's not like the divorce made it any easier. If anything, co-parenting or lack thereof made it even harder because he just uses them continuously over and over as a manipulation tool. There were some moments that are so clear to me now what was going on. Cycle of love bombing, where one day you're a piece of crap and then the next day you're the best thing that's ever happened and you should go get a pedicure and you're the best mom ever and here's $100, go shopping. Everything, the gaslighting, the rewriting of history. I never said that. You're making that up. That's not how I said it. Denying things that I knew clearly happened, but it made me feel like I was losing my shit. The constant flipping of the script and blaming me instead of taking responsibility for his own actions. And no matter what happens, he is always the victim. I will always be the enemy in his story. Always. He will spread lies about me to people that we used to know, family, even our kids. He's done it to our kids. And I can only imagine the people that are in his life right now thinking he is the perfect parent and I'm the one keeping the kids from him. But luckily, through all that, I was able to learn a lot, especially since coming out of that relationship. I've just grown so much as a person, as a human, as a mother, as a woman, that I don't even recognize that girl anymore, but I didn't recognize it when I was there either. So, some of the biggest lessons I've learned, and I'm bringing you facts and stats 100%. All right? The first thing is narcissists don't change. They just change their tactics. In fact, studies show that only 1% of narcissists seek treatment, and even fewer actually change. They don't just wake up one day and decide to just be a better partner or be a better parent. They just find new and impressive ways to manipulate. If they lose control in one way, they'll find another, especially through the legal system or your kids. Stop waiting for closure. Stop expecting them to see the light. Your true power is just accepting that is who they are. When you start accepting that, you stop defending yourself against it. Second thing, keeping the peace typically means you have to lose some of yourself along the way. The fact is that narcissists thrive on emotional reaction. The more you engage, the more they will manipulate it. Trying to keep things civil often means sacrificing your mental health while they just keep pushing the boundaries. So, my advice would be to set firm boundaries. Only allowed to communicate via email or some type of co parenting app. You can limit the emotional engagement and treat interactions like a business transaction. You can go into it with the right mindset. You can go into it knowing that they're probably going to try and push your buttons. They're going to test the limits, but you're not going to budge because you're going into it expecting it with the right mindset. Let them have at it. Number three, co-parenting with a narcissist is nearly impossible. In fact, experts say co-parenting with a narcissist often turns into parallel parenting, where you try and limit interaction as much as possible. Parallel parenting is recommended in high conflict situations, and tons of mental health professionals support it. It minimizes the direct interaction between the parents. It allows each of them to make decisions independently during their time with the children. And then it reduces the conflict and provides a more stable environment for the kids, because that's what really matters. But again, you have to expect that they will likely try to use your children against you. It's just another way for them to maintain control, either through emotional manipulation or through legal battles. My advice is just to keep communication limited, written, and documented. Emails, parenting apps, anything you can to keep that documentation of those conversations. The last time we went to court, I had 700 documents that the judge went through. Remember, just don't expect any fairness. Expect mine, just prepare accordingly. And if you can, get legal protection, get an attorney, court ordered custody arrangements, something that can be outside of their control. Number four, research shows that survivors of narcissistic abuse often suffer from PTSD like symptoms due to the psychological damage. They can include anything from emotional flashbacks to trauma related triggers and just this sense of shame or guilt. The psychological manipulation is a complex trauma, but an article from Our Mental Health actually talked about complex post traumatic stress disorder. And it was actually proven that survivors of narcissistic abuse often experience trauma similar to PTSD. They have anxiety, emotional flashbacks, they're constantly feeling on edge. The constant manipulation and gaslighting leave lasting scars, making it hard to sometimes trust yourself and everybody else. Just remember, therapy is crucial, especially trauma informed therapy. Surround yourself with people that validate how you feel, not ones that are just telling you to get over it. And give yourself permission to grieve the illusion of what you maybe thought that relationship was. Okay, so you don't even know if you're dealing with a narcissist, but you want to recognize the signs, right? So, gaslighting, number one, they make you doubt your own emotions and memories. where they are using others, kids, family, friends, and they try and turn them against you. My ex tried to do this with my mom and my sister, and he's definitely done it with kids. Love bomb and devaluing. They build you up just to break you back down, and then hovering. They're trying to suck you back in when you pull away. You can't live like that. You have to learn how to emotionally detach yourself from it and protect your energy and your own peace. Their actions are not about you, it's just about control for them. And don't try to prove your side. They are never going to admit that they're wrong. You have to set some boundaries and then you have to enforce them, even when they push back from you. My recommendation, communicate only in writing. That way you can keep records of everything. Keep conversations short and businesslike. Don't give them any personal details. If they try to manipulate through the kids, counteract with stability, consistency, and love. My I say this all the time, but I've always been consistent. I've always been consistently me. None of that has ever changed in how I have raised my children, how I've communicated with my children, how I've interacted with my children. That's the great thing is I've been consistent and stable and he hasn't. So that I can recommend just always be the stability for them. And honestly, the best revenge is just moving on. It's so great when you can let them just text you over and over and over or block them and not worry about it. It's really great when you can look at your children and know that you don't have to say it bad about their other parent because they already know. They see it. There's nothing you have to say. We'll get through this. Just keep moving forward. That if you are new here, I have a segment called Oliver's Light where I share something positive in honor of my grandson, Oliver. His light will continue to shine even though he is no longer here with us. And I wanted to take a moment to share something that just truly touched my soul. A listener recently reached out and shared her own heartbreaking experience of losing her first grandchild. She told me how, even though nothing could fix it, they still say his name. They include him in all of their traditions and they make sure that he's never forgotten. And that hit me hard because that's exactly why I do this segment. It's exactly what we're doing for Oliver. We say his name, we honor his place in our family, and that's what every grieving parent deserves. Acknowledgement that their baby mattered. And if you know somebody walking this path, don't be afraid to say their child's name. It may be one of the greatest gifts you give them that day. Narcissists want to see you miserable, and healing is going to tear them up. Your healing is going to tear them up. You don't have to play their game. You don't have to fight for their validation, and you don't have to prove anything. The best thing that you can do is take back your energy and build a life that they can't touch. And if you're in this battle right now, I see you. Just stay strong, stay smart, and remember you're not crazy, no matter how much they try and make you feel that way. Thank you so much for listening to Random Candace Thoughts. If you, after listening to this episode on the other end of what could possibly be a narcissist, reach out. Find me on social media, send me a DM, send me an email. I'd love to hear from you and I'd love to help you. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Random Candace Thoughts. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode.